Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode in our TNA series in TEW 2020. It is the go home show for Bound for Glory 2014, and I realized an error that I'm just not going to fix because I did some wrong planning. I thought that in game I had Bound for Glory set for next weekend, and then realized that I had it set for this weekend. Which, of course, if you watch all of the stuff on my channel, you'll know that we also have Fall Brawl in our WCW series happening this weekend. So, I could have pushed it back a week, but after all the hype that we've had for Bound for Glory, and on top of it, um, the way that the schedule is set up right now, I'm not pushing it back. I'm also not pushing Fall Brawl back, which means, everyone out there, you're going to be getting two pay-per-view videos on Sunday. Fall Brawl 1997 in our WCW series, and Bound for Glory here in our TNA series. I don't know which one will be released when. They're not going to be released at the same time that day. Don't worry about that. One will be done in the morning, like earlier, at least before noon my time, which is Central Time. Central Standard Time, that is. So that one of them will be released at least before noon, and then the other one will be released like way later on, like normally around the time you would have a wrestling pay-per-view. So there'll be at least a good 6-7 hours difference between the two, so that you can watch one and then have a little bit of time to do whatever else you want to do, and then watch the other. Or you can watch them both at the same time, or what you want to wait until both of them are up and then watch both at the same time, or however you want to do it. I don't care, but that's how we're gonna do that. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting because those are two huge shows. But before we get to that Sunday, we have to get through this Thursday as we have Impact here, the go home show before Bound for Glory itself. Of course, last week we saw that Samoa Joe attacked AJ Styles and Kurt Angle after the main event. Actually, he cost them the main event and then attacked him afterwards as well. And so we're going to have to see what happens as we open up the show with Kurt Angle in the ring. He is pissed off. He says that AJ Styles is not here tonight. He's at home resting to make sure he's ready for this Sunday at Bound for Glory. But he will get his revenge on Samoa Joe in due time. He says that Styles is gonna get some payback on him this Sunday at Bound for Glory, and Angle will get his revenge on him in due time. But for now, he focuses on his Bound for Glory opponent this Sunday, Shelton Benjamin. He says Benjamin has been doing this thing with him for months now, where he has been acting cowardly, and that's not the way that he taught Shelton Benjamin to act. He says he may have taught him some bad tricks. He may have taught him some underhanded tactics, but not in this mindset, not in the way that he's been acting. This is not the Shelton Benjamin that he helped to bring up and train all those years ago. And that if this is how Shelton Benjamin is going to act, then Kurt Angle will not hold back when it comes to making him tap, or when it comes to making him submit at Bound for Glory, because he will make sure that Shelton Benjamin not only taps, but that he snaps his freaking ankle. So 83 rating here, as Angle is focused on causing Shelton Benjamin some pain. We'll have to see what ends up happening with that match this Sunday, which I don't remember if I announced that for sure. I was kind of testing the waters to see if Benjamin was going to randomly end up with a New Japan show. But as of right now, 3 days before it in game, he does not have a New Japan show that day. So it is official that it's going to be Kurt Angle versus Shelton Benjamin. And we'll kind of see how that ends up playing out. But 83 rating here for this segment. Very good stuff. Very good way to start off the show here. 5,591 people in attendance, by the way, in the Ramsey Center. After that, opening contest sees Paul London and Brian Kendrick defeat the Von Erichs in 8:34 when London pinned Marshall Von Erich with a shooting star press. 59 rating for the match. London head and shoulders over everyone else. He had a 65. Kendrick with a 52, Marshall with a 32, and Ross with a 33. Von Erichs are kind of just, a team I used to put other teams over at this point. Happened in this case here. But, yeah, okay showing, I suppose. But this was more focused on getting London and Kendrick some more momentum and everything like that. Of course, they don't have a match at Bound for Glory as of right now, but they are, they're trying to continue to be a tag team here in TNA and trying to see what they can do. We'll see what happens with that. Then after that, 31 rated segment here. You'll notice I didn't advance the storyline because I set this up as a minor one because I knew this wasn't going to do that well. But Dixie Carter's backstage in Daredevil's office, and she says that she is still not happy about the stipulations behind the mixed tag match this Sunday. Of course, Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett teaming up to take on Mickie James and Magnus, where if Mickie James and Magnus lose that matchup, then Team Dixie must disband and Dixie Carter will be gone from television. She says she's not happy about it, but you know what? She understands. She understands that that Daredevil recognizes Team Dixie's a threat, and she understands that she's not happy with the way things have been playing out. She wants to make amends. She wants to bury the past, focus on the present and the future. She says, Daredevil, you're doing a good job running TNA so far, and I want to talk this out. I want to talk things out normal. And we're just sitting there looking at her, and we're like, there is no goddamn way you're here to be calm and talk things out peacefully. Dixie's like, what are you talking about? I'm here to. We're like, no, you're not. You're here to try to convince me to get rid of that stipulation. It's not happening. Not only is it not happening, but your representatives in that matchup have singles matches here tonight. Consider them a warm up. Dixie's like, you're putting them in the ring a couple days before that big of a match. Dixie's like, and we're like, yeah. I mean, they're confident, right? Magnus is a former TNA World Champion. Mickie James is one of the top knockouts in the company. They can do this, right? Why would they be worried about having singles matches a couple days before that show unless they thought that they could lose? Dixie's like, they're not losing. They're not. Okay, who are they facing? And Daredevil's like, well, Mickie James is going one-on-one with Allie tonight. And Dixie kind of scoffs and says, Allie, she's a nobody here. That's fine. No worries. What about Magnus? Who's he facing? And we're like, well, he's got himself a main event match. He's going to be going one-on-one in the main event with one half of the tag team champions, Colt Cabana. Dixie gets a little worried here. She's like, okay, that, you know what? That's fine. Magnus can beat him. No worries whatsoever. You know what? That's fine. I'm gonna be gladly coming in here on Thursday night next week on Impact and gloating in your face about how Magnus and Mickie James will have guaranteed title matches once they beat Maria and Mike Bennett at Bound for Glory. And she walks out, and camera stays on Daredevil there for a second, and he's just like, I need Maria and Mike to win. And then that's how the scene ends. So, yeah, interesting little segment here. And we find out 2 matches tonight. Mickie James taking on Allie one-on-one. And in the main event, it's going to be Colt Cabana, one half of the tag team champions, taking on Magnus, which, of course, is more than just a warm-up match for Magnus because, of course, Colt Cabana and his partner Jimmy Jacobs are defending the tag team titles against 2 other members of Team Dixie, EC3 and Rockstar Spud at Bound for Glory. Then after that, I knew this match wasn't going to be great, but I needed it to happen. About that terrible wrestling against crowd heat, Portia Perez defeated Santana Garrett in 908 by pinfall with the sweet Portia music. 36 rating for the match, 43 from Perez, 37 from Garrett. Would have been a pretty good match if the crowd had been more into it. But Perez gets the victory here ahead of her tag team matchup this Sunday, where her and Mercedes Martinez are taking on Candice LeRae and Evie. After the match, Mercedes Martinez shows up, and they start beating down Santana Garrett until Evie and Candice LeRae make the save, chasing them off. So 34 rating here, gained heat for the storyline, which is kind of a sign that the storyline is not doing that well if a 34 rated segment gained heat for it. But Evie and Garrett come to the save of Santana Garrett ahead of the match this Sunday. After that, Beer Money promo. James Storm circled going off script, which is weird, but all right. They're disappointed. They're disappointed because they are a couple of days away from Bound for Glory and they don't have a damn match on the card. How do you not put Beer Money on the card? So Storm says, well, maybe we just show up and watch this show and drink a lot. Bobby's like, well, I'd rather be in the ring making money, but you know what? That doesn't sound bad either. Maybe we'll get a couple seats at ringside and be watching the show up close and personal. So 51 rating here, as apparently Beer Money are going to be hanging out in the crowd at ringside for the Bound for Glory show. So not sure why they're doing that, but we'll have to see what happens. Then after that, poor matchup sees the American Wolves defeat the Decay in 10-16 when Eddie Edwards gets Bram to submit to an Achilles lock. Alex Shelley ran out to try to attack the Wolves, but ended up hitting Bram instead, which is what led to the submission. 58 rating, not bad. 62 from Davey Richards, 61 from Eddie Edwards, 38 from Bram, and 35 from Crazy Steve. The Decay is just kind of there. I'd like to push them more, but the stats are just not there at the moment. So we're kind of slowly building them. It's kind of a slow build. Maybe in 2015, 2016, we could begin a little bit more of a push for the Decay. But 58 rating here, not too bad. As it gets the Wolves some more momentum in heading into their match against the Motor City Machine Guns this Sunday night. Then after that, because we're all about advancing storylines and about talking about this Sunday, Adam Cole has an interview with Chrissy Hemme where he's interviewed about Jay Lethal and the big six-man tag match this Sunday. It will be Cole, O'Reilly, and Fish against Lethal, Kenny King, and Rhett Titus. Future Shock versus House of Truth. And Cole says that he still believes that Lethal's a coward, but he admits that the House of Truth is going to be an interesting force to have to deal with. I mean, Rhino could end up with the X Division title if he can somehow beat Roddy. And Cole's like, not that he's going to, because I know Roddy's going to destroy him. But he could still potentially do it. The House of Truth is something to watch out for. But Future Shock are here. We're taking over TNA. And we are going to be successful at Bound for Glory. 50 rating here. Nice way to kind of build up the match for this Sunday. Then, in a 42 rated matchup that did not as good as I was hoping. Didn't have much heat, terrible wrestling. Mickie James defeats Allie in 820 by pinfall to chick kick. 44 from Mickie James, who was really off her game, which is disappointing. 29 from Allie, who seemed off her game, which is disappointing. Not great. But I mean, to be fair, this was a match where Mickie was just supposed to be looking pretty good. She just was really off her game for whatever reason. But yeah, Mickie James gets a victory there. And then she decides to try to attack Allie some more after the match, but Maria Kanellis runs down to chase her off. And there's a stare down between Mickie and Maria ahead of that mixed tag match this Sunday. 49 rating here. We'll see for the storyline, but that's fine. I'm not too worried about that. But there you go. So kind of a little bit of a stare down between two of the four participants in that matchup. Then after that, we find out that there's a brawl happening backstage as the Lucha Sisters and the Decay are brawling with each other ahead of their tag team matchup at Bound for Glory. Security officials come running in trying to break things up, trying to keep the two teams separated, that is. Rosemary goes for a mist on, we'll say, Mia Yim, and ends up misting one of the security people instead. So that didn't work out too well. But it does, cause them, get more heat for the feud Doesn't gain heat really, but in theory, it gets more heat for the feud before this Sunday. After that, we get a 54 rating as Rhino wanted to take on a member of Future Shock. There you go. He wanted to take on a member of Future Shock ahead of the title match this Sunday, and so Bobby Fish answered the challenge. And the two fought to a double disqualification in about 7 minutes. It was more just a wild brawl. There wasn't really any there wasn't a whole lot of technical stuff here. It was more just the two were brawling with each other. A lot of forearms, a lot of punches, a lot of, from Fish's end, a lot of kicks and all that. 54 rating for the match. 55 from Rhino, 42 from Bobby Fish. Didn't really gain heat for the storyline, but it didn't really gain momentum for either one of them. But that was just it's just kind of still building up the idea that Future Shock and House of Truth just have this hatred for each other right now that is not going to be. We're not going to get clean finishes at the moment. Obviously, this Sunday might be a little different, but in this show, we won't get clean finishes between the two. Then after that, 59 rating. Lost heat for the storyline. What the hell, Aries? Usually you're a little bit better promo-wise. It did get the crowd hotter, though, for some reason, so there's that, I guess. Austin Aries has a promo where he says that he doesn't care about all this gibberish that Christopher Daniels has been spewing. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is defeating Christopher Daniels at Bound for Glory. He fell just short of being in the Bound for Glory finals, the Bound for Glory series finals, that is. And he could blame Christopher Daniels for it, but to be fair, he knows he lost to Daniels in that, which is what led to the tiebreaker being the way it was. But he gets his revenge this Sunday, Bound for Glory, when he makes the fallen angel wish he never fell, and that he never fell at the feet of the greatest man that ever lived. 59 rating here, not great, but it is what it is. Then tag team action. Our challengers for the tag team titles in a match before this Sunday. And they get the victory over Petey Williams and Eric Young in 10:05 when EC3 pinned Eric Young with a Sweet Meat Sizzler. Of course, this also kind of is a little bit of a callback too because of the storyline that had been going on for months between Eric Young and EC3. So EC3 was able to get another victory here over Eric Young. 56 rating for the match, not bad. EC3 with a 58, Spud with a 48, Petey Williams with a 44, Eric Young with a 40. Not too bad. Not too bad there. But EC3 and Spud get some momentum ahead of that tag title matchup this Sunday. So can they actually dethrone the champions, the dominant champions who've gone through, pretty much every tag team here in TNA? We'll have to see. Then, 83 rated segment. Gets the crowd hotter. Of course it does. As Samoa Joe has a pre-taped video. Says that he's honestly surprised that AJ Styles would even think for a second that he was on his side. Samoa Joe is on nobody's side. Samoa Joe is not on the side of De Niro and MVP and Benjamin. Samoa Joe is not on the side of Styles and AJ, and Kurt Angle over. Samoa Joe is on the side of Samoa Joe. He doesn't care about being friends with anyone. He doesn't care about helping anyone out. He cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is becoming the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He doesn't care what he has to do to get to it. He doesn't care who he has to go through to get to it. He dominated the Bound for Glory series. He's dominated it in his company for months now. He's walking out with the championship at Bound for Glory. And there's nothing that AJ Styles is going to be able to do about it. 83 rating here. Samoa Joe, very, very focused on getting that TNA World Heavyweight Championship. After months of domination here in the company, we will have to see how that ends up happening, or if that ends up happening. And then in the main event, wow, that's a really great main event, honestly. And a good matchup. Thanks to the distraction by Mike Bennett, one half of the tag team champions, Colt Cabana, defeats Magnus in 11:05 by submission with the Billy Goes Curse, the inverted Boston Crab. 72 rating for the match, 70 for Magnus, 66 from Colt Cabana. Gained heat for the storyline. So Magnus actually lost in his his quote unquote warm up match ahead of this Sunday. He's, you know, flabbergasted by it. The show kind of ends with him, you know, leaving. Actually, he's selling the legs because of the Boston Crab. He's selling the legs in the back, but he kind of turns his attention to Mike Bennett. Kind of rolls out, kind of stares him down a little bit as he's selling on the ramp, on the ring or on the mat. And Colt Cabana celebrating. So there you go. Colt Cabana celebrating the big victory over Magnus just a few days before Bound for Glory. And that's the end of our show, which gets a 72 rating. I'll take it. Got our popularity in 9 regions, so I'll take it. Not too bad of a go-home show. Kind of some rough stuff that happened in it, but not too bad of a go-home show. A few people weren't on the show ahead of it, but it was kind of, obvious reasons why. Daniels wasn't there because of whatever, but, like Styles wasn't there because we told him off with that and everything else. So, yeah, not too bad. Not too bad indeed. Let's look at the ratings. Once again, 1.271 million fans watching. 72 rating from Impact. NXT had a 59. Saw Hideo Itami and Alex Riley defeat Team Crime, which is Aiden English and Baron Corbin, apparently. Interesting. That was our main event there. Ring of Honor had a 55. They saw MVP and Scott Steiner defeat the Young Bucks in a cage match. What? What? What the hell? What the hell is that? Outlaw Anchor, Eddie Kingston, Homicide are still tag champs there. What the hell was that main event? That's weird. Also, it didn't give me anything about MVP not being available for the show, which is weird. Whatever. Obviously, as you can see here, we are going to try to steal Yoshitatsu away from NXT. I don't like. Yeah, he's a 48 in-ring performance. And he's 37 years old. I'm not doing that. Serena Deeb did get hurt. I'll show you Explosion real quick. So Explosion happened. Serena had an interview, and then she went out and worked with a local talent, Andy Social, and she ended up getting a hit pointer in that. But she's only out for 6 days, and she can still work angles, so it's not like a serious injury. We haven't been doing a whole lot with her really anyway, which is why I gave her this match on Explosion. So then we got a Beer Money hype video, because again, we're trying to keep them built up even though they're not on the show this Sunday. Tigre Uno defeated local talent JD Drake. We had an angle where Red Dragon had a promo about All Night Express ahead of the match this Sunday. D'Angelo Gennaro had a match where he defeated local talent Ryan Nemeth. Eric Young had a promo where he's kind of, talking about his disappointment about losing a lot recently and about where he's trying to figure out, what happens next. Paul London then went out and had a match with Jesse. Paul London working twice in the same night, basically. But he defeated Jesse in the main event of Explosion. And then there was an interesting little segment afterwards where Brooke Tessmacher seemed upset. Seemed kind of annoyed about Jesse losing and actually walked out on him. She actually walked out without him. So, not sure what's happening there. There might be some issues with the bromance. Might be some tension there, but there you go. So there's that. 48 rating for that, for Explosion too, which was not too bad. But there you go. So we have our stuff for this Sunday. Which I believe I've already gone over everything. So as you can see, card there in front of you. We have a ton of matches. Some of these are going to end up on the pre-show. Don't worry about that. We also didn't even have some stuff get covered. Like Abyss and Jeff Hardy didn't have anything covered for this week Impact. Neither did Velvet Sky and Madison Rain, but we've kind of been, building them up decently enough at this point. So, except for Abyss and Jeff Hardy, but that's just more of like a, Abyss is a monster and Jeff Hardy wants a match kind of thing. Like there's not really much storyline to it other than Team Dixie versus TNA kind of thing. But of course, Abyss and Jeff Hardy, Christopher Daniels and Austin Aries going 1-on-1. Tag team titles on the line. Jacobs Cabana defending against EC3 and Rockstar Spud. We've got Gail Kim and ODB going one-on-one, which is another thing I didn't build up this week. This is the kind of thing. I've got so many matches that I could build all up this week. House of Truth versus Future Shock, that 3-on-3 tag match. Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly against Jay Lethal, Kenny King, and Rhett Titus. We've got that big mixed tag match. Magnus and Mickey James versus Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. We've got the Motor City Machine Guns versus the American Wolves. Rhino versus Roderick Strong for the X Division Championship. We've got Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Shelton Benjamin versus Kurt Angle. We've got the Bullies, which are Portia Perez and Mercedes Martinez, taking on Candice LeRae and Evie. We've got the Decay versus the Lucha Sisters. And we've got Velvet Sky versus Madison Rayne for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Honestly, the Decay and Lucha Sisters, the Bullies versus Candice LeRae and Evie, and those might be the only two on the pre-show. I might also just randomly throw a match on the pre-show, like not one that's booked here. But a lot of these matches are going to be main card ones because a lot of them have a lot more meaning behind them than a lot more storyline behind everything. Obviously, the TNA World title will be the main event. But yeah, we'll have to see how that all plays out. So there you go. Hype for this Sunday's Bound for Glory, which should be one hell of a show. So thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it. And if you only follow this series, we will see you this Sunday for Bound for Glory.